أنا زعلتك في حاجة، طب إيه يا حبيبي هي؟
Hello, my people. Get your boarding passes ready, your passports. Tonight, we are boarding a plane to Addis Ababa. So, on today's episode, we have a very short but gripping story titled A Night in Addis Ababa. This is the story of Hawa Inua, and trust me, you'll want to stay till the end. I am not the owner of the story. I am only its voice, but I will try as much as I can to see it, to feel it, and to tell it exactly as it deserves to be told. So Hawa boarded a flight en route from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia to Abuja. At the airport, while checking in, she was handed two boarding passes, one for Addis Ababa and another from Addis Ababa to Abuja. She was also given a hotel voucher. When she asked about it, she was told that she had a very long transit in Addis Ababa and she was entitled to a hotel stay. She didn't argue, she really had no choice. Besides, her older brother booked the ticket for her. A few months ago, she was depressed, going through a divorce that took a heavy toll on both her and her family, especially her older brother TJ. Wanting to find peace and clarity, TJ decided to pay for a lesser pilgrimage for her to pray, focus, and reset. But immediately after she boarded the plane, she began to feel cramps, like serious cramps, menstrual cramps. So she went to the restroom and checked, but nothing. But still, she prepared herself. She couldn't even focus on the movie playing on board because this menstruation symbolized the final phase of her Iddah. Now, in Islam, a divorced woman is required to observe an Iddah period of 3 menstrual cycles. If the 3 cycles are completed without reconciliation, the Iddah officially ends. And it means that she is free to remarry. It also marks closure, transition, and freedom. Till today, she couldn't even believe that her 8-year-old marriage ended simply because she attended her best friend's wedding dinner. A lot of allegations were made. But when she landed in Addis Ababa before disembarking the aircraft, immediately she rushed to the restroom to check again, and she was anxious. So this time, nothing still, but she decided to ask for extra pads because the ones in the restroom had finished and she might definitely need them in the hotel. And just as she made the request, the business class passengers began to disembark. We all know how they were always the first people to disembark the aircraft. So the air hostess signaled for her to wait. Takata. So she just stood there beside her, watching her bid farewell to the business class passengers while her thoughts were just larger than the airport itself. However, just when she thought that the business class passengers were finally done disembarking, the air hostess turned and handed her the part. As she stretched out her hand to collect it, boom, she noticed someone approaching. He was dragging a mini trolley, a cold jacket casually draped over his left arm. For reasons she can't even explain, she just gets startled. And the part slipped away from her hand and dropped straight to the floor. Her heart just skipped and she became instantly nervous. Now, there's something about the quiet shyness many of us feel during menstruation. Even till today, it's hard to tell whether that feeling comes from tradition, from culture, or simply from the way we were raised. But this is another topic of its own. So let's continue. And then she saw his eyes trail down straight to the part which was on the floor. But instead of reacting awkwardly or pretending not to notice, he surprised her. He gently closed his eyes, lifted both his hands with a mischievous smile, like saying, I saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. Kuma gaskiya ya gani. Even me, I'm quite sure ya gani. And in that moment, her embarrassment softened into something else. So she quietly picked up the part and made her way back to her seat. It wasn't even easy because passengers were already lining up to disembark. So she had to squeeze through the narrow aisle, but somehow she managed. She grabbed her bag and joined the line to get off the plane. For transit passengers, there's usually a diversion. But since she had already been issued a hotel voucher, so they were directed straight to immigration. She assumed she would get a stamp on her passport and an some free visa to Ethiopia. Awoof. But instead, they stamped off her next boarding pass to Abuja. That's when she noticed something. The business class passenger, the same one from earlier, was also on the queue for stamping. But unlike hers, his passport was stamped instead. That's when it clicked to her that he wasn't transiting, he was actually visiting Ethiopia. And she knew this for sure because he was clearly carrying a Nigerian passport. So as they passed through immigration, they arrived at the screening machine. She was handed a plastic container and asked to place her handbag and gadgets inside. So she set everything down and gently slid the container into the machine. Just as she tried to walk past through the machine, it made a sharp sound. So she stepped back and removed her wristwatch. As she turned around, she noticed the business class passenger standing right behind her. He had already removed his belt, his wristwatch, and his own cell phone. So immediately, he looked at her and said calmly, "You can just drop your watch with my items." "Oh, okay, now good," she replied, placing her watch inside the container. After that, she passed through the screening machine without any further delay. So as she picked up her handbag and adjusted it, his items came through. He also passed through the machine. So instead of picking her only her wristwatch alone, she lifted the entire container and handed it to him. "Irin an taimake ta nan, irin ita ma bari ta taimake shi." "Thank you," he said, almost like in a whisper. Moments later, she heard him asking an officer about a masjid where he could pray. It was almost Maghrib time, but she didn't pay much attention because she was with a group of passengers who were also on transit. An elderly Sudanese woman approached her holding her hotel voucher as well. She asked if they were heading to the same hotel, and thankfully they were. Together, they went to the information desk to ask for further directions. That's when they were told that the bus that would take them to their hotel will arrive in the next 25 minutes. So they waited. It was cold, they were exhausted, but they had no choice. Waiting is never easy, but sometimes you have no choice. After a while, she spotted the business class passenger. From the way he moved, it was obvious that he had finished praying. He had his cell phone pressed to his ear, holding it steady with his shoulder like this, while struggling to fix his wristwatch with both his hands. Their eyes met briefly, but she looked away immediately. She didn't realize he was walking towards her until she heard his voice, still on the phone, a few steps away from her. "Are you on transit?" he asked. "Yes, we are waiting for our bus," she replied. "Do you know the name of the hotel?" he asked, and she told him right away. "Is it okay if we drop you off?" he offered. She explained to him that she was with the Sudanese woman. "You can come together," he said. But still, she decided to inform the staff at the information desk. The bus had been taking forever, but just as she was speaking with them, they received a call saying the bus was ready. Reluctantly, she went back to him and updated him. She thanked him sincerely for his generosity. "No problem," he said calmly. Without hesitation, they all exited the building. She noticed they were heading toward the same car park, though he remained on his cell phone. From a distance, she spotted the buses clearly marked with Ethiopian Airlines logo. It has a small hand luggage which the driver placed it in the car boot. Stepped aside to allow the elderly Sudanese woman to go into the bus first. And just as she was about to climb into the bus, she heard a greeting. "Salam." She turned around and responded, "Wa alaikum salam." The face was unfamiliar, but he wore a warm smile. He just asked for her number. And she paused and asked, like, why are you asking for my number? And smiling again, he said, "Let's say I'm asking for a friend." That response only confused her more as she just stared at him like unsure of what to say. But just then the driver kept like hung impatiently, signaling for her to just get into the bus. "I'm sorry, I can't give you my number." He now pointed toward the business class passenger now seated in front of GMC Jeep. Because the window was rolled down, but still deep in his phone call. Now, no, not wanting to waste more time, she just gave him her WhatsApp contact instead. "Jazakumullahu khairan," he said softly as he walked away. She was a little surprised that The passenger, the business class passenger, did not ask for her number directly. But then she just thought maybe that's how things now, like, are done now, or that's what is in vogue. But she won't lie, it felt good knowing someone found her attractive. She even caught herself like taking a second look at what she was wearing. So when they arrived at the hotel, there was no hesitation in sharing rooms. Each room came with its own Wi-Fi password, and they were also given food vouchers for dinner and breakfast. It was freezing, so she couldn't even feel the need to have a proper bath. But still, she wanted to freshen up. That's when she noticed her period has finally started, and she felt so relieved. And after that, she came out and set up her internet. She made a few calls before heading to the restaurant. It was almost 7 p.m. and Addis Ababa was bitterly cold. After eating, she decided to take a few pictures at the reception and around the hotel lobby. It was very beautiful. Then suddenly she received a message from an unfamiliar number. It says, Assalamu alaikum. Hopefully you like your hotel. She didn't reply immediately. She just went straight to check the display picture, and it was just an image of Biru the Change logo. So she replied, Wa alaikum salam, and didn't say anything further. After about 10 minutes, he asked if he could call. She won't lie, by then she already knew who it was. Her heart started beating fast. But God truly has a perfect sense of timing. The call came through and rang almost to the end before she finally picked up. Salam, she said. Hopefully, I'm not disturbing, he asked cheerfully. Well, that depends on why you called, she replied jokingly, getting him to laugh. From that moment, the conversation flowed effortlessly, like water that had been trapped between rocks and finally finding its way through. Have you ever been to Addis Ababa? He asked. This is my first time, she replied. Will you like to see the town? He asked. If you will be my guide, she said. Your wish is my command tonight, he responded softly, and just like that, she shared her location. Oh my goodness. So she changed her clothes immediately, and she was grateful that she had a pair of abaya tucked inside her hand luggage. She prayed some oil perfume, dear perfumes, a collection from her cousin Husseina Babadia. She just stood by the mirror and she loved what she was saying. Her silky hair picked out, gently parted at the center of her hair, soft and effortless. It took him like 20 minutes before he sent her a message that he was outside. She would like she was so excited. Still, there's a part that felt like she was committing a crime, like she was guilty. Question raced through her mind. What is this rule? Do I have to wait for my period to be over before going on a date? But this is her last period for Ida. But then she decided to go anyway. She met him at the lobby, standing quietly studying a painting. He was wearing a turtleneck shirt, like off white, and then he wore a black pants and then black jacket. It looked so good on him. Like so good. Do you like it? She interrupted. His eyes moved slowly from the painting to her, and for a moment they just stared at each other quietly as she approached. He finally exhaled, like after some moments, calmly, and said, It's beautiful. The painting, you, the ambience. He spoke with a maturity that made her feel she just wanted to stay quiet and let him talk endlessly. It was freezing outside, and she kept mumbling to herself, like quietly, Are you sure you want to go out? He asked. Hmm. She sighed heavily as she walked toward the exit and he followed. The city glowed beautifully. Birni Yaifa, she said. Where are you from? He asked. Guess, she replied. Then he studied her face again and said, You're from the northeast. Like, and then he added, because of the accent. Oh, wow. I tried, right? He asked. Of course, you tried. Then after a moment, she said, I'm from Yola. She finally revealed. Have you ever been to Yola? She asked. Yeah, I was there 3 months ago, he said casually. and I attended a friend's wedding last April. And the moment he said that, her heart just sank because there were just few weddings that happened in April. Yola is a small town, everyone knows everybody. So, wait, she asked, which wedding? And immediately he said, the wedding of my friend Usman Isa Saleh. That was when she just froze, like she couldn't believe it, because that was the wedding, the exact wedding that ended her marriage, the same wedding where allegations were made that she was going out with one of the groomsmen. She couldn't speak anymore, like she just stood there speechless. And from that moment, so watch out for part 2 of the story. If you like it, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next NGP Jam. Coba Adamawa.